Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GG Report. I'm glad that you tuned in. This is an interesting week. This is the International Women's Week. And as we all know that whenever we begin to talk about women issues, the idea of gender justice comes up. Gender justice is like the rallying call for the modern feminist movements, I would say specifically postmodern feminist movements around the world. While the Bible teaches that men and women are created in the image of God and they are equal before God, Imago Dei, and we're going to be talking about that soon. We know that men and women have equal rights and dignity before God, and that's very, very important. However, we are aware that women are still lagging behind in society in many aspects. Today, we are going to take on this subject, and I have a very, very interesting guest for us. Welcome, Reverend Dr. Lydia Mwaniki. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to see you. Welcome. Now, as you all know, the GG Report is a platform where we take on and discuss big, bold ideas and have honest conversation on a broad range of subjects, socio-economic, theological, philosophical. Today, actually, we're going to go into the theology part of this discussion. And so I want to introduce my guest to us. My guest is, like I've said, Reverend Dr. Lydia Mwaniki. She's an ordained minister. She's a renowned gender expert, theologian, and like I've said, an ordained minister with the Anglican Church of Kenya. And she's currently the director of gender and women at the All Africa Conference of Churches. And she's going to be telling us more about the All Africa Conference of Churches. She began that position in 2015. And so we are very, very happy to have Lydia here with us. Very good. Excellent. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling very, very excited. I'm very, very honored.
So, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to ask Lydia to introduce, we're going to ask you to introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of your background, both career and, you know, how you got to where you are. You have over 30 years experience working with the Anglican Church of Kenya. So, give us your background. Where did it all start?
Thank you very, very much indeed, Pastor Gigi. As I have said, I'm honored to be here. I must say that this journey started when I was in my mother's womb. Yeah, because I am the second born. So I think my mother expected that the second born would be a boy. So when she was 4 months pregnant, she made a wish. She expressed a wish. She prayed to God and said, God, if the baby that I'm carrying is a boy, I'll dedicate him to your house. And I think she had also read the story of Hannah. But when I was born, I was a girl. And so it's like she was a bit disappointed. She was disappointed that she had given birth to a girl. And she's saying to herself now, women do not serve in God's house as priests, do they?
Yes.
And then she forgot all about it.
Yes.
So you see, when I was born, and I'm a girl, and I went to, local schools. But later, after my Form 6, because I went up to Form 6,
Yes.
to the A level those days,
Yes.
I felt strongly called to do the ministry.
Okay.
Those days, women were not being ordained to the priesthood
Yeah.
in the Anglican Church.
Okay.
So after 3 years of training with men, women were made lay readers.
Uh-huh.
Then after 6 months, they were made deaconesses.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so for the sake of those who are not familiar with the Anglican Church, leadership and system, what you're saying is that when you went to Kabare College.
Yes, St. Andrew's College of Theology and Development. That time it was just St. Andrew's Bible School.
Bible School.
Yes.
That's Kabare Kirinyaga.
Yes.
So you did a diploma, or is it a certificate? You started
There
with a
was
certificate.
there was no certificate. Certificate came after I had left.
Okay.
So there was no diploma. I started from certificate. Diploma came later.
Okay, so you did a certificate, and now because you're interested in ministry, basically your interest was, look, I have a calling. I want to be part of the, ministry, preaching and teaching and serving the congregation. So after you graduated, you went back to the congregation, and you're saying you were ordained. You could only go as far as what you describe it.
A lay read.
A lay leader. Okay. So and then after that, so what happened?
Yes,
So you served for some time at the church.
I served for 11 years.
Okay.
In the lay ministry, because I was first of all a lay reader.
Okay.
Because the bishop, that time the late Archbishop David Gitari was eager to train women, but then after training, he was like, where do I take them? What do they become?
Okay.
And actually, that's why he was very vocal
Okay.
on the issue of ordination of women.
Okay.
So I served as a lay reader, then a deaconess. For 11 years, I wasn't ordained. Partly it was because of me, because women began to be ordained, but I felt I didn't really want to go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what inspired you to now take it further, push the agenda further?
Well, as even before I joined the training, I could see that there was gender disparity in the church.
Okay.
Because women were not serving as women were not being ordained.
Okay.
There were very few of them in church councils. So, and they were always tying headscarves, and I was really quarreling within me. What does the headscarf stand for? Is it really necessary for salvation?
Okay.
Those things really disturbed me. So, and when I read the Bible, of course, there were those passages where women should not speak to church, in church.
Should not preach. Should not
preach.
Should remain silent.
Yes.
Yeah, we are all familiar with those scriptures.
Yet there was another one that male and female are created in the image of God in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. So there were issues running and asking questions. So I decided to go deeper into theology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at what point did you now then pursue further training in theology? Was it after you ordained? And by the way, when were you ordained? Were you ordained? Okay, so fill that gap, because you've served for 11 years. You've become, the farthest you've gone is deaconess. But now I know you're reverend ordained. So fill that gap. How did you end up where you are now? I mean, in terms of you're now fully ordained. The last time I heard you were in one of the candidates being considered for the office of the bishop of, is it Kirinyaga Diocese?
Yes.
Yes. So Kirinyaga Diocese bishop, well, vying, and having been, started from the ground. So how did all that happen? So when did you get ordained, and how did you end up there?
Now, after
It's a big story. Just cut it bit.
yeah, it's a big story.
Yeah.
So I started working with the church in 1990.
Okay.
That is when I graduated. After I graduated with my certificate
Yes.
in theology.
Yes.
From Kabare.
Yes.
Then I was having faithfully,
Yes.
and of course I was not really very eager even to be ordained.
Yes.
But because I was married soon after finishing my certificate,
Yes.
I got married to a priest,
Okay.
Reverend Daniel Stakos Mwaniki.
Okay.
And he encouraged me
Okay.
to go for further studies
Uh-huh.
at St. Paul's.
Uh-huh.
That's where I got my degree in theology.
So, what years did you go to St. Paul's?
From 2000 and, from 1992 to 1995.
Okay.
And I had gotten married in 1989 December.
Okay.
That year. So
Okay.
it was like 1990.
Okay.
Yes, but my mother-in-law also is the one who pushed me further.
Okay.
That you cannot be training people and they get ordained and you continue following them in your deaconess's dress.
Okay.
Go for ordination.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you came to St. Paul's.
Yeah.
St. Paul. That time it was St. Paul's Theological United Theological College.
Yes.
And you pursued your bachelor's in theology, and that you completed in
1995.
1995.
And I graduated with 3 degrees instead of 1. There is a story behind there.
Yeah. Tell us about. You were married 89. Now you are a student in St. Paul's. And off the set, you told me how you were having your babies at the same time. By the time you graduated, you had 2 babies and a degree.
Yes.
Amazing. Lydia is an amazing, Dr. Lydia is an amazing woman, as you can tell. She's really has had to pull herself up, to get where she is. Okay, so how did that experience go? You were happy graduating and also having your family growing?
Yes, because I was newly married, and here comes an opportunity for me to pursue my degree.
Yes.
And my husband is the one pushing me go for it.
Yes.
So it happened that I had the firstborn when I was going to St. Paul's.
Yes.
Then when I was going to St. Paul's, I was pregnant with the secondborn.
Okay.
And because I didn't want the bishop to know,
Yes.
because he would have stopped me,
Yes.
I wore a very, big dress.
Okay.
He didn't know.
Uh,
So I went in.
he approved you're going to St. Paul's.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And the first holiday is now when I gave birth.
Okay.
Because I think I joined in August. In December, I gave birth.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then the second year, I gave birth to my thirdborn.
Okay.
Yes.
Very
so
good.
and I was doing Greek.
Uh-huh.
So I was very, very aggressive and working very, very hard.
Wow.
Yes. If I'm not in the house breastfeeding, I'm in the library or I'm in class.
And unraveling Greek
Yes.
and trying to understand
And
it.
the secondborn, the thirdborn, that is the last born,
Yeah.
was almost born in the library. I remember. Because I had labor pains in the library. I didn't know, it was in the evening.
Yes.
I didn't know they were labor pains. I went to the clinic, they gave me medication. They said if the pains get worse, come back.
Yeah.
So at the 10 at the night, the pains increase.
And now
I go to the
you had to go and
clinic,
have
and
your
they take
baby.
me to hospital. At the night, at the 3 a.m., I give birth to my thirdborn.
Yes.
I nurse him for 1 week. The following week on Monday, I'm in class.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I'm telling you, we are talking about gender justice. We are talking about women. This is the International Women Week, and Lydia, you are such an amazing. You have an amazing story of I don't want to use the word resilience, but let's use it. Resilience. You're very robust, absolutely amazing, and how you worked so hard, to get where you are. So you finished your bachelor's. You had your 2 babies. And then what led you to now then pursue PhD? So tell us about, because by the way, for your information, Lydia did her PhD in theology from the University, KwaZulu-Natal University
in South Africa.
and that's where she did her PhD, and she's going to tell us more about the things she studied. Okay, so you finished your bachelor's. Now you could be ordained.
Yes, I could be ordained, but I didn't want to be ordained. You know why? Because I wanted to pursue my studies, and I said to myself, if I'm ordained, the bishop might refuse to sign my papers to go for further studies, because he will confine me to the parish.
He will send you to one of the parishes.
Yes, and I said I let ordination stay. So I went to serve in a parish as a pastoral assistant.
Okay.
And then I went to St. Paul's, not to St. Paul's, St. Andrew's Kabare to teach as a lecturer. And that's when I got an opportunity to go for my master's degree, which I was doing at the University of Natal. That time it was not KwaZulu-Natal, but Natal. I did some courses there, and then 1 year was classwork, then the other year was research.
Okay. That's for your master's?
That is for my master's.
Okay. And what year is this?
That was between 1998 to 2001.
Okay.
And my husband and my mother-in-law were babysitting the times I wasn't there.
Okay. Oh, yes. You were actually resident in Natal?
For a few months.
Okay.
Then the program was proceeding in Ghana for a few months, and then back to Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So that's your master's program.
Yeah.
After your master's program, did you come and work a little bit in the ministry and then go back for your PhD or what happened?
Now, after my master's program, I was ordained in 2002. My mother-in-law said, not again, go for ordination.
Now you must be ordained, because my plan is that I've been pushing you to get ordained. You need to represent us, you need to get into the hot seats.
Yes.
Okay. So after ordination, so you got ordained in 2002? 2002.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. I was ordained here in Nairobi, and the Archbishop immediately took me to serve in a church as a vicar in a parish.
Okay.
That is St. Joseph of Arimathea Parish.
And that's where? That's here in Nairobi?
Yes, yes.
St. Joseph of Arimathea is where? Fill me up. Which part of Nairobi? I know.
Behind USIU. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
It's in Thome.
It's in Thome. Yeah. That's. I was trying to trace that because I've heard about that particular congregation.
Thome Garden Estate.
Okay.
There.
So now you are the priest in charge.
Yes.
How long did you serve there?
I served there for about 4 years. Then I was moved to St. Barnabas Parish or Tiende. Yeah, where I served for only 5 months. Then I went for my PhD. Okay,
so and that's 2000 and what? Which year did you go to South Africa for your PhD?
That was in February 2007. 2007.
Very good. Excellent. So those of you who are following this conversation, I want you to know that, if you have a passion, if you're determined, and you have a vision, and you have people that are, rallying behind you, telling you, go for it, there's nothing you can't achieve. I mean, you can achieve anything you really wish. And so, Dr. Lydia, you've worked so hard, and I'm so glad. But specifically, what exactly inspired you to do PhD? Why not just settle, do parish work? Why PhD?
Because I really felt strongly that God was pushing me to go for further studies.
Yes.
I needed to pursue my line and pursue completely. And also my husband also helped me so much, because he said, you can't stop at masters. You have a passion.
Yes.
You love education.
Yes.
And that's one of the conditions I gave him when we got married.
Okay.
I told him I want to pursue education.
Okay.
Yes, because my father had really pushed me to study, and my parents were really inspiring.
Okay.
Yeah, so now, so I started wanting to pursue my PhD, I think as early as 2003. and we looked for a scholarship. I was given a scholarship by Langham Partnership,
Okay.
UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
And my husband, because he was a priest,
Yeah.
he asked if he could go to serve in a parish in the UK. Okay. And because I got an opportunity to go to St. John's, to the University of Nottingham,
Yes.
in the UK.
Okay.
But just 2 months in 2004, we were to go now together in October 2004. But something happened in August.
Okay.
Just 2 months before.
Yeah.
My husband unfortunately died.
Okay.
It was a stroke. It was very sudden. We even had the passports to go abroad. Each of the children, each of our children had a passport.
Yes, and visas
and everything.
Yes.
But then he dies.
Uh-huh.
So I was asked, why have you just died? We were going abroad to pursue studies. Even him, although he was going to work in a parish,
yes,
he already had an admission to go to a university there to pursue education.
Yes.
Okay, of course, he was media, ethics and media, and also theology. Okay. He could do anything there.
Okay.
So he died suddenly.
All right.
So it was like I felt like the world had come to a standstill. And I was surprised when I saw people laughing, moving, cars moving. I mean, I say the world has come to a standstill, yet people are
going on about their business. How?
Yeah. But then after 2 years, the Langham Partnership, they said, we are still keeping your scholarship.
Okay.
If you want to pursue your education,
yeah,
you can go on. But perhaps consider going to South Africa because now it is cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what I did, but now it meant that I had to leave my children.
Okay.
Yeah. My mother-in-law said, no, you have to pursue it, even if he has died. So he moved from his own home in Embu. Yeah. Of course, the husband had died many years back. And he came to stay in my house in Nairobi.
Yeah, that's your mother-in-law?
My mother-in-law.
Okay, so she came to stay in your house to look after your children?
Yes.
While you're in South Africa pursuing your,
my PhD.
Your PhD. Amazing, amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're still following this wonderful story of Reverend Dr. Lydia Mwaniki. I know we haven't come to the theological ideas, but we're going to come there. But this is a very, very inspiring story of a woman who decided, even though things shifted so dramatically, you were not going to stop. And thank God that you had people around you who believed in you, who rallied behind you, who told you, no, you can do this. Amazing, amazing. So you now go to South Africa to pursue PhD. So, because I know we want to go into the details, but how was your experience in South Africa? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Were there some challenges? How did that go? And how long did you actually do that? How long did it take you to complete your work? Because PhD is hard work.
Yeah, PhD is very, very hard work. And although I was not really required to do any coursework or to go to class, I decided personally to sit in some classes, whether honors classes or master's classes, just to familiarize myself with the way they do dissertations there, the research methodologies and anything. So I had to humble myself.
Okay.
Not to see myself as up here, somebody pursuing PhD, but to go back to class to be taught.
Yes.
And that shaped my dissertation so much.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was hard work because for me now, here it is life or death. I have my children at home.
Okay.
Of course, some two families had volunteered to take care of those who are in boarding schools, going for visitations and all that. God gave me my mother-in-law, of course, some family members, but also 2 other families who could travel. My daughter was in Meru. Kaga girls, they could go there. One family could go there. My last born was in Limuru International.
Yeah.
So he had parents there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I knew I had to work very, very hard. So if I'm not in class, I'm in the library, or I'm in the shopping center just doing my grocery and come back. And people kept asking me, have you gone to this place in South Africa? I said I didn't come here as a tourist.
You didn't come as a
Yes,
tourist. You came to study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even with the most difficult thing were the theories that were being introduced, post-colonial theory, and I felt I had to use it to do my PhD.
Yeah.
Yes, as a theoretical framework. And also sometimes I had challenges because at home the house girls were misbehaving. They have gone, they have stolen,
So you had all kinds of, you had to navigate a lot of things.
Yeah.
You have a home here in Nairobi that you're monitoring and managing, and somehow you're the person in charge. You're the overall authority in that home. If something goes wrong, you have to get involved, even if it's remotely. And monitoring what's happening. The house girl has disappeared, so that's another project and all that. But thankfully, you had people around you who felt, no, we have to support Reverend to work with you. That's lovely. And then the theories that you had to study and all that. Did you do Greek? Was
yes,
Greek
I
part
did.
of it?
Yes, I did Greek. Advanced Greek. Because Greek you forget very quickly.
Okay.
So I had to go back into a Greek class. I was not required to, but I felt for me to pursue this PhD, I need to go and pursue Greek again.
Okay.
Advanced Greek, yes.
Yeah. By the way, for those of you who are not aware, the New Testament was first written in Greek. And is present Greek, the Greek that is spoken present, is it the same as the Greek that in which the New Testament is written?
No.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, there's different. First of all, the Greek in the Bible is not even spoken. It was for that time, and language transforms, so it's different.
Okay. So lots of hard work. So you laid the groundwork. You did all the you needed to do to get a grip of the theory and theology, so that then you are ready, to write your dissertation. Excellent. Now we are going to go into a break. Time moves very fast. I hope you're following and sending us comments on the number below there. And if you're watching this on the social media platform, please make sure you leave a comment. If you'd like to get in touch with the Reverend Dr. Mwaneki, please do that. You can send us a text and we can get in touch with her. So we'll go into a break shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We have a lot to discuss. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about theology around the issues that Reverend Mwaneki studied, and then we expand on that. And so we go on a break and then we come back shortly. Okay, stay tuned.
Life Church International and Apostle David Juma invite you to the Gathering of Men this Friday to Sunday, 12th to 14th March 2021 at the Apostolic House, Kenya Cinema Plaza, Moi Avenue, Nairobi. The sessions will be as follows: Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sunday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. The guest speaker will be Bishop Jesse Ireri, and the theme for the meeting being investment and leadership. There will also be special prayers for entrepreneurs, business owners, career professionals, ministers, and students. The Gathering of Men this Friday to Sunday, 12th to 14th March 2021.
You got time for a visit?
Hello, Coach. So you changed sports, and you still got no team. Well, that's sad even for me.
I get it. You have to coach cross country, but it's not the end of the world.
For someone who knows the Lord, you act like somebody who doesn't.
You give some very inspirational speeches to your pplayers about stepping up under pressure and going the extra mile.
Anna, you're getting faster.
Your life is worth so much more than this.
To who?
When you find your identity in the one who created you, it'll change your whole perspective. Something or someone will have first place in your heart.
Where's your team? She's right there.
What have you allowed to define you?
Is that?
That's Hannah.
Run, Hannah!
All right, welcome back to the Gigi Report. We are having a very interesting conversation today. My guest, Reverend Dr. Lydia Mwaneki, is talking to us about her journey, pursuing theological education. Remember, this is International Women Week, and I felt that it was very, very important for us to speak to someone who's done so much and occupies a very significant place in, as a woman in our society. And Reverend, you've done an amazing job, and you studied so hard. You pursuing PhD in theology. That's not an easy thing. And before we went to the break, we were talking about the fact that you had to study Greek and get your dissertation done. Now, tell us what was the core, hypothesis of your studies? What did you study? I am aware, we had a little bit of a chat before, of course, but I would like you to tell us. So, what did you write about?
Now, as I said earlier, I was disturbed by the use of biblical texts to marginalize women, to deny women positions of leadership in church, and to silence women.
All right.
So I decided to go deeper into those texts.
Okay.
But first of all, as an Anglican, I looked at the Constitution. Is the Constitution biased?
Okay.
Then I came across Article 4 of the Constitution.
The Anglican Church Constitution. Those of you who are not aware, the Anglican Church has a very robust constitution. It's one of the main, yes, go on.
And there was this Article 4 of the Constitution, which is quite egalitarian.
Yes.
And it disallows discrimination in matters of church government on the basis of race, gender, and all other categories. Many other categories are there, but my interest was gender.
Yes.
So I asked myself, how has the church lived up to this? Up to the Constitution.
To that ideal, which is clearly documented in the Constitution.
Yes.
So that's the question you are trying to answer. That's a very good place to start. Decided to dive into that.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
And then if it hasn't, why?
Okay.
So there was this continued use of biblical texts, as I have said earlier, and I really wanted to look at those biblical texts.
Yes.
That subordinate woman to man, I don't want to say defying, but that categorize a woman as a second-class citizen.
Okay.
And in fact, I went to one of the key texts.
Okay. Yes.
That is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1 to 16.
Yes.
And it begins by a hierarchy. It constructs a hierarchy. It has established a hierarchy from God,
And
Christ,
where
male,
it says,
female.
the man is the head of the woman, as Christ is the head of the man. Maybe I'm paraphrasing.
It is that one.
Yeah. So and then God is the head of Christ.
Yes.
That hierarchy. So
That
God,
hierarchy.
then Christ, then man, then
So
woman.
it's a hierarchy of subordination.
Somehow, yeah. So that's the way it lays itself out.
Yeah.
And of course there are whole 16 verses, so there's a lot of depth in that. So you dived into that.
I dived into that. It is still the text about head covering.
The head covering is also within those 16 verses.
Yes. So I was interested to look at what is the significance of the veil. Of course, there is no word veil in that text.
Yes.
But it is implied.
It's implied.
It is implied.
Yeah.
But the most difficult verse in that passage is verse 7.
Okay.
Which I can paraphrase by saying, man ought not to cover his head because he is the image and glory of God, but woman is the glory of man.
Okay. That is a problem text. Okay. Those of us who are watching, I told you we're going to be talking very serious things, theological things, and we're going to open. Remember, this is the big, bold ideas. Nothing is off limits here. So in terms of our discussion, and not to cast aspirations of the scriptures, the Holy Scriptures. We have a lot of respect for the Holy Scriptures. But we are saying that text reads that way.
Yeah.
So what do you do with it?
So that text.
Yes.
First of all, it like, because man is the image and the glory of God.
That's exactly what it says.
Yes. But woman is the glory of man.
Okay.
So woman there is like, she is excluded from the image of God.
Okay.
And that is how that text has been interpreted. Whether that is what Paul meant or not,
yes,
that is how it was taken up.
Okay.
Especially by the church fathers.
Okay.
Who spoke very evil of women.
Okay.
Woman does not bear the image of God, so she cannot represent the male God, because man has some divine characteristics which woman is devoid of.
Okay.
So in the history of Christian interpretation and appropriation of that text,
yes,
women were denied positions of leadership.
Okay.
Especially even in the mainline churches. Somebody like one of the church fathers, Augustine of Hippo, says, woman alone, man alone bears the image of God, but woman alone does not bear the image of God. It's not the image of God unless she is linked to a man.
Okay. Okay. And Augustine of Hippo, for those of you who are not familiar, is one of the key fathers, the people we call the real fathers of faith. The people who have a very, very strong bearing on the theological and historical interpretation of some of these texts. Yes. So that was very challenging. But now your work was to unravel that and clear the ideas. And okay.
So now that text, I had to look at the background in which informed Paul's construction of gender power relations.
Yes.
And I took the post-colonial theory because it helped me to look at the imperial, the imperial constructions of gender.
Yes.
And how Paul was informed, because Paul was working, was okay, he was a Jew, but that time Jews were even under the Roman Empire.
Yes.
So he is a product of the empire.
Okay.
How does the empire inform his thinking?
Okay.
Of course, there is also the Jewish patriarchal culture,
yes,
and the Greek culture and all that.
Yes.
But the empire itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked at that and I saw the influence from that, from
the context, the
from
contextual
his-
influence.
Yeah.
You know, that perhaps you would argue, one can argue that, look, maybe Paul was a bit biased because of his, you know, positioning at
Yeah.
that time. And the Romans ruled the world. They were very powerful. You know, they had structured the world in a certain way. So that's very important. But I think what I like about what you bring out, because we may not go into all the solid arguments, I think it's the idea that now what you began to challenge was this image of God thing,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you felt that there is something that is not very clear here. So unravel that for us, because that's a very central. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are following this discussion, Dr. Lydia has written a book here called Gender and Imago Dei, Gender and Image of God. So this is basically like a synthesis of all your work.
Yeah.
You know, the title is Gender and Imago Dei. Gender, Imago Dei. This is a very solid work, a post-colonial African reading of 1 Corinthians 11 from verse 1 to 16. So this is really like the documentation of all that work.
Yeah.
So so you started looking at the historical, you traced all the way the ideas, you know, substantiated themselves across generations, from the church fathers to modern day theologians, and how all that has come through and where the issues are. But then now your counter argument, the central counter argument, is the image of God idea. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that, how that counters this kind of like gender biased apparent in that text. Yes.
So now, when I look at that text and the way it has been taken up by future theologians and the church, and especially mainline churches, still looking at a woman as not the image of God. But when I look at other biblical texts,
Yes.
for example, I ask myself as a, you know, as a biblical scholar,
Yes.
is Paul the first person to mention the image of God in the whole Bible? No,
It's not the first one.
he's not the first one.
Yes.
The first text is Genesis chapter 1 verse 27,
Yes.
which says male and female are created in the
In the
image
image of God.
of God.
Male and female created them.
Yeah,
Male and female he created them in the image of God. Something like that. Yeah. Okay.
so there is nowhere in Genesis where woman is categorized as
Subordinate.
as a subordinate or as inferior.
Yes.
Because even the mandate in Genesis chapter 1 verse 28, they are mandated to be stewards.
Yes. Both of them.
Both of them
Yes.
equally.
Yes.
So unless there is some influence, you know, those cultural norms, patriarchal culture,
Yes.
systems,
Yes.
they are the ones that are reinforcing. You know, people read the Bible selectively
Okay.
just to pick
Uh-huh.
those biblical verses that would help them
Uh-huh.
that would serve as divine sanctions for
Okay.
the subordinate status of woman.
That is a very, very serious statement, that people pick biblical text, specific text, that would reinforce norms. So norms that really like reinforce and authenticate a dominance kind of a structure where women are actually put as subordinate.
Yeah.
Yes. So
So
that's what you
the
are.
Bible needs to be read holistically.
Okay.
And the Bible is the liberating word of God. It's not oppressive
You can say that again. The Bible is liberating, not oppressive.
Yes.
Exactly.
So if one is reading the Bible to oppress,
Yes.
actually, feminist theologians say don't read it at all.
Okay.
Yes, don't interpret it at all. If you are using the Bible to oppress, yet even Christ himself is a liberator.
Yes.
Don't interpret it at all. Because
Absolutely.
it's misleading.
You remember the story of the woman who was caught in adultery?
Yes.
I'm sure you have something to say about that.
You know that woman was caught in adultery alone? She was committing adultery alone?
Apparently.
Apparently.
Yes.
It's like playing volleyball alone.
Uh-huh.
Where was the man?
Where was the man?
Yes.
So if we are going to read the text, the biblical text, and be faithful to the scriptures, we have to answer that question. Where is the man?
Where is the man?
Okay. So, but then, then Jesus did actually then address the matter. What Jesus did in that scene is, I think, the most liberated thing. Maybe you should talk about that. How Jesus actually played that game,
Yes.
on that day,
Yeah.
to set the record straight.
Yeah, he said, any of you who has not sinned,
Yes.
let them be the first. And he started writing. We don't know what he was writing. I don't know whether he was writing the sins of those accusers.
Yes.
Yes. But he just saw a gender bias.
Yes.
Yeah. But he also shows that he came to forgive sins.
Yes.
Yes. So those of you who are out there are not better than this woman.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have no reason to kill her. Actually, they were even acting against the law itself. Because the law required that if a man and woman are caught in adultery, both of them are stoned to death.
Okay.
So why do they want to stone the woman?
That's the
alone?
Levitical requirement.
Yes.
So it was not. So Jesus could see the hypocrisy of these guys.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
they catch a woman in adultery, as they claim. They bring her alone. They don't bring the guy, and they want Jesus to sanction some stoning here. And Jesus was not going to buy that arrangement.
And that is what we do, Pastor Gigi, even today.
Yes.
As I was growing up, even today,
Yes.
if a young girl gets impregnated,
Yes.
out of wedlock,
Yeah.
she stopped from taking Holy Communion. Nobody asks, where is the man? And the man continues taking Holy Communion.
Oh, man.
Yes,
That's
that
a
needs
real
to be
indictment.
addressed.
That needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Yeah. So why should that be the case? Yeah. So there are real issues. There are real issues. Amazing. All right. So now, so you've addressed those issues. Clearly, what you're saying is that there are gender-biased texts, or rather, there are texts in the Bible that have been used to sanction, to reinforce biases, norms, and society cultures that put women, in a lower place. Kind of reinforce domination and unfair discrimination, and fail to appreciate the fact that scriptures are very clear. Men and women created in the image of God, and they have equal standing, equal dignity. And I like, because I've looked at your materials, I like the idea of equality in equality and dignity.
Yeah.
I like the idea of dignity. Do you want to mention, to say something about the dignity aspect of this?
The dignity of a human being, it is derived from the image of God.
Yes.
So that each of us bears the image of God. Each
Yes.
of us has the dignity. And even though those who are coming up with the human rights, they use the aspect of dignity.
Yes.
And the person also looked at some of the biblical texts. So the Bible became an inspiration.
Yes.
Of the development of the
Human
formulation of human rights.
Yes.
So once, when you abuse somebody,
Yes.
or you make somebody to look like he's inferior,
Yes.
you are insulting God. It's a direct insult
On
to
God, who
Yeah.
himself created man and woman
Yeah.
in the image of God. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I also need to say something about Paul. One needs to be very careful when you are using Paul to oppress women, because in many instances, Paul lifts up women.
Okay.
Even in that particular text, chapter 11, verse 1 to 16,
Yes.
in verse 11 and 12, he says, man is not independent of woman, woman is not independent of man. So the text itself has liberating potential.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, I have written another paper in a journal,
Okay.
liberating Paul, a sympathetic reading of Paul.
Okay.
Yes, so me, I liberate Paul. He's not my enemy.
Yeah. Because Dr. Lydia, I think one of the things that I've kind of picked up that in theological circles, people who would like to take a very extreme view and present Paul as someone who was misogynistic, like he promoted a biased theology against women, so there's that kind of, there are some extremists who would like to position Paul as actually not been pro-women and stuff like that. So you clear that by saying, look, Paul indeed it's very clear that Paul clears the ground and says that a man is not independent of a woman, the woman is not independent of man. And by the way, Lydia, from where I think the way I see it is that the feminist movement, I think one of the places where it has erred is taking the pushing their dagger so far and trying to argue that the only way we must understand the world is a competition between men and women, while the truth is women and men have worked together throughout centuries, and we are where we are because men and women work together.
Actually,
the women did, brought in the babies, looked after the babies. The men went to war and did all the hard work, and and kept the animals away from eating the children, that kind of thing. So other than the roles that were slightly different because of the way the family is organized, but they worked together.
Yes,
Am I putting words in your mouth?
they work together, Pastor Gigi. But the problem is that is the division of those gender roles.
Yes.
Now with education, everything changed. Everybody has an opportunity to go to school.
Yes.
And if a woman and a man, or a boy and a girl have gone to school, the woman cannot continue to be confined to the home. Something has to be done about the gender roles, because those are not sexual roles, because sex is biologically determined. Gender is a social construction. So what is socially constructed can be deconstructed.
Okay.
If it's feeding the baby, I mean, for you to empower me even to study, like my husband did, he has at one time to also take that role to feed the baby, so that I can also pursue
your education,
my education.
So
the problem is that the confining women to those roles, but meanwhile, a man can also support the woman for her also to pursue something. So how can those roles be shared? Because biological roles cannot be shared, because I must give birth, I must breastfeed. But when the baby comes here, let the man also take the responsibility of care.
Absolutely.
Of care. So that they may we both have that bonding with the baby.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. I like that. So I think matters well said. And those of you who are following us and you'd like, to get in touch with Dr. Lydia Mwaneki and maybe get to know more, some of the other materials she's written, and maybe you would like to invite her to, to talk to your women and stuff like that, please, the numbers on the screen, you can use those numbers to send us a text, and then I'll link you up to Dr. Lydia. Now, We have a little bit of time, but not that much. I would like you to touch a little bit about your work at the All Africa Conference of Churches. People hear about All Africa Conference of Churches and they have all kinds of ideas what you guys are up to. So could you please clarify a little bit about that?
Well, the All Africa Conference of Churches is the largest association of Protestants, Anglicans, Orthodox, and African instituted churches in 42 African countries.
Okay.
And it has a membership of 193 members, including churches, national councils of churches, lay and theological training, and all that. And we collaborate very closely with other religious groups, with the African Union, with UN, with other multilateral bodies, we collaborate. So it was born, first of all, it has over 140 million Christians.
It brings together over 140 million Christians.
Yes.
Which are within those churches that are part of this association. Absolutely.
So it was formed in 1963. That's when it was established.
Yes.
When many African countries were attaining their independence.
Okay.
So there was need for the church to come together and give direction and also address the post-colonial challenges affecting not only the church but also Africa at large as a continent.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was mainly formed to enable churches to address issues, continental issues, contextual continental issues, and also enable churches to be focused and speak with one voice.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we are actually, the headquarters are just here in Westlands, Nairobi.
Yes.
But of course, the All Africa Conference of Churches is all over Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have a liaison office in Addis Ababa doing advocacy. We also have, because of our French constitution, we have another office in Togo.
Okay,
yeah.
Very good. Excellent. I know we may not have much time to talk about the ACC, but that's where you play, that's where you serve in the role of the Director of Women and Gender.
Yes.
And you guys are doing fantastic work supporting churches. And just like the other local church associations, you're like the big one, the big brother or sister of the other church associations, and there is a lot that the local church associations can learn from ACC. Very good. So we don't have time to talk so much about that. I think your book here is a fantastic source of inspiration and materials for those who want to study theology and explore. And those who want to get in touch with you can get in touch with you through the ACC.
Yeah.
That's the strategic plan
yes.
at the moment. And then, but now we're out of time. So we we'll end it here. Before we end, Dr. Mwaniki, I would like you to speak to young women out there that are looking up to you and say, I don't know whether I can achieve what she has achieved. Do you have something to tell them to encourage them in 1 minute?
My daughters out there, I'm not different from you. I'm born and brought up in the rural. I went to rural schools. So, but education has empowered me. I had to pursue education. So if you have an opportunity, you must pursue education. You must not allow your dreams to be killed by anybody. You must go for what you yearn for. So you must be determined. You must be hardworking.
Yes.
And that does not mean that you can't get married. Get married. I got married. But in that marriage, know that you are the mother, you are the wife, you are the student, or you are a career woman, and you must be able to balance all that. Wake up at night, work, Sometimes the house girl tells you, or the house manager tells you at the night, I'm going away the following day.
Lydia, you don't have that much time.
Oh, I don't have that much time. But just be determined, be a go-getter, and be ready to get tired. Work hard. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, goodness me. That's all we had time for in today's show. Thank you so much for staying tuned and watching the Gigi Report. We're promising you more of this kind of energetic programs in the future. Stay tuned. We come to you every Friday. My name is Godfrey Gishoke, and it's good that you have been tuned in. God bless you, and keep watching Elevate TV. God bless you for now. Bye.